Alright, first time I recorded this, it was 56 minutes, so I'm going to try my best. But welcome to my pitch for my new musical, Borderline. Borderline follows the story of 3 different people that center around one theme, a theme of transition and growth and journey. The story is going to show us highlights of each of these people's lives that are pivotal moments in their transitional journey. The moments between the highlights are going to be filled in by a narrator. He breaks the fourth wall, he talks to the audience, he keeps it personal. He kind of has a soft spot for one of the characters and at the end steps in and actually helps him out a little bit. And then we have Dan, our first character in our first story, who is a middle-aged man going through a divorce. He feels like everything in his life up until now has been an utter disappointment, and he's fallen into a depression and he's picked up a drinking problem. And then we have Sue, his wife, or Susie, who basically just generally lacks empathy. She's fallen out of love with him over the year and she's tired of his attitude and his behavior and feeling like she's essentially babysitting her husband. And then we have Dan's best friend, who does his best to comfort him, but there's only so much he can do. And then we have the subject of our second story, Jeannie. She's a 19-year-old girl. She is halfway through her freshman year of college. She was raised by a Catholic family, but now that she's been on her own for a bit, she's starting to realize that her whole life up until now has been a complete mask, a facade. She's just been playing the role of the perfect daughter, and she's realizing that everything she thought she believed up until now isn't really what she believed. And then we have Crystal, Jeannie's new age hippie roommate, who is one of her realest friends. She becomes like a rock for Jeannie and is there to support her through this journey of self-discovery. Over the course of the play, their relationship grows to be a little bit more than just platonic. Then we have Jeannie's mom, who is a strict Catholic woman who is just doing her best. I really cannot emphasize enough that she is not a bad person. She just doesn't know any better. And then we have the subject of our third story, Judah, or Jude. He's a 15-year-old trans boy coming to terms with his gender identity. He struggles a lot with body image and how he thinks other people are going to perceive him. He thinks that no matter what he does, no one's ever going to see him how he really feels on the inside. He ends up trying to make plans to run away to his aunt's house in Philadelphia. And lastly, we have Ryan, Judah's boyfriend, who is overall just a really toxic relationship. He sees himself as straight, and quite frankly, he doesn't see Judah as the way he actually is. And most of his motives are purely sexual and manipulative. And now we get into plot. We open in the first act and the narrator introduces himself to the audience. He explains the concept of the show and that we're only showing most important parts of these people's lives and that he'll fill in the blanks. He's gonna start off everyone at a high point of their lives because quite frankly, it all goes downhill from there. We start with lights up on Dan and Sue. They're in the hospital, they just gave birth, and it's a really happy moment. They're singing Tiny Dancer.
I know I would feel so real, lying here with no one near, only you. And you can't hear me.
And then we shine light on Crystal and Jeannie, and they are smoking in their apartment, singing Strawberry Fields.
Living is easy with eyes closed, misunderstanding all you see.
And then Crystal's all,
let me take you down, 'cause I'm going to Strawberry Fields. Nothing is real.
They're vibing, and you can tell that they're tight and they have a close relationship and they're just talking and growing closer. And then we shine light on Judah and Ryan, who are at an arcade on a date. This is to Pinball Wizard.
He's a pinball wizard, there has to be a twist. A pinball wizard got such a supple wrist.
It's a very high energy date. They're going bouncing from game to game. They're kissing, they're cute. It's a great time. The energy kind of dies down and we transition into your song.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside, but not one of those who can easily hide out.
And this is sung by Judah to Ryan to kind of show his youthful naivety. He thinks he's in love with this boy, but you can tell by watching it that the feelings are not reciprocated because Ryan gets kind of awkward. And then that's out of scene 1. We open to scene 2. The narrator tells us that not a lot of time has gone by since the last scene we saw with Dan and Sue, and what we're about to witness is a common occurrence in their household, but he's showing them this moment because it is probably the most intense. And we see Dan and Sue are fighting. This is to Funeral for a Friend / Love Lies Bleeding in My Hands. And it is a duet. They're going back and forth. It gets louder and faster and more intense. Dan gets physically aggressive. Sue gets very verbally abusive. Things progress and get louder and faster until they eventually just stop and they sit in a moment together, and Sue starts singing Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, and she's basically telling Dan that she can't keep going on like this and that they need to end things.
I can't deny no more of your darkness. All my pictures seem to fade to black and white.
Then lights up on Jeannie and Crystal. The narrator tells us that Jeannie's looking through old photos and trying so desperately to find a connection to them, but she can't, because the fact is the person in that photo is not her. It is just a mask she has been wearing for the past 19 years of her life. Then we see Crystal. She's kind of dancing around the apartment doing her own thing. She is mid-shroom trip. She is singing Across the Universe. She's vibing and singing, but then she picks up on Jeannie's negative energy, and she comes over at Chagaru Deva and is trying to like comfort Jeannie, and she sits down next to her very close, and she offers her a piece of advice. Nothing's gonna change your world. And they kind of cuddle a little bit, and Crystal convinces Jeannie to call her mom and tell her everything she's been thinking, because she thinks it'll be healthy for her to get it off her chest. Lights down on them, and we come up on Judah and Ryan. They're alone at Ryan's house. Judah's rambling about his fears. Ryan isn't really paying a lot of attention to him, but then he eventually stops him and he says, you know, look, like, people are going to perceive you how they're going to perceive you. You might as well just act how they want you to act. You'll know on the inside that you're a boy. Why does anyone else need to know? Which is kind of not good advice. And this is to the song You've Gotta Hide Your Love Away, but changed a little bit to You Have to Hide Yourself Away.
Hey, you've got to hide yourself away.
Ryan sings this to him, and then Judah heads home and kind of finishes a song to himself in more of a ballad. Lights down, lights up. We return to Dan's house, and the narrator tells us that Sue has been gone for a couple days. It is pretty clear that she has been seeing another man, possibly. She comes home. She is fully intending on just going to bed, ignoring him, and Dan tries to stop her, and he sings We Can Work It Out.
Gotta see it my way. There's a chance that we might fall apart before too long. We can work it out. We can work it out.
Trying to convince her to stay, but she is not buying it at all, and she just walks away. She leaves, and he laments with sorry seems to be the hardest word.
What do I gotta do to make you care? What do I say when it's all over and I wake to find that you're not there? And then the chorus, it's sad, so sad. It's a sad, sad situation, and it's getting more and more absurd.
As he drinks himself to sleep. Lights up, and we are in Judah's bedroom. This is a very private moment, and the narrator reminds us of this. He asks us to be especially quiet because he cannot know we're here. Judah is looking at himself in the mirror, and he's examining his body, and he's clearly struggling with body dysmorphia. He's trying things, he's looking at things, he's figuring things out, and he's mulling over in his mind all his fears, all the things that he could think about that could go wrong, and all the things that his boyfriend has said to him that he's kind of wondering maybe he should do that. And this is, he sings I Feel Fine, which lyric-wise is a very happy song, but he's not actually believing anything he's saying. It's more of like a positive affirmation thing.
My baby's good to me, you know, she's happy as can be, you know, she said so. I'm in love with her and I feel fine.
So he's singing that trying to believe it. Lights up, and we are in a bar with Dan and Dan's friend. Dan is reminiscing to his friend about the early days of him and Sue's relationship. This is to Crocodile Rock.
This is to be sung kind of how they started to sing it in the Rocket Man movie. I remember when Rock was young. Me and Susie had so much fun. And then, you know, it picks up pace. Crocodile rock in the sun, the shining when your feet just can't keep still. I never knew me a better time, but I guess I never will.
He tells him about all the fun time they used to have. They used to dance and sing, and the rest of the bar joins in them. It becomes an ensemble number. There's dancing, and it becomes fun and joyous and loud, but it quickly turns into chaos and anxiety as the choreography starts to become more circular, and Dan starts to get overwhelmed, and all the other couples in the bar seem to be la 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 mocking him. In a fit of rage, he slams his fist on the bar and everything stops, showing us that it wasn't actually happening in the first place. Dan's concerned friend tries to cheer him up by singing Ticket to Ride. A little bit of a duet, but mostly Dan's friend. And end scene there. Lights up. We are in Ryan's bedroom. It is Ryan and Judah alone. Ryan kind of convinces Judah to drink a little. Judah is very bad at saying no. He's not comfortable at all, but he does what Ryan says anyways because he feels like he has no other option. They get a little drunk and Ryan convinces Judah to have sex with him. The only thing is during this whole time he's referring to him by his birth gender and birth name, which is Lucy. So this is to Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Somebody calls you, you answer quite slowly. A girl with kaleidoscope eyes. Lucy in the sky with diamonds.
After they have sex, Ryan leaves and Judah's by himself. He cries and he doesn't really know how to feel anymore. He sings the only thing that he can think of that he could possibly want, and that's I Want Love. While he's singing the first verse, we're seeing Dan lights up on the other side of the stage and they're pantomiming a fight, Dan and Sue. Sue storms out and Dan joins in on the song and they duet it together.
I want love, but it's impossible. A man like me, so irresponsible.
Lights down, scene over. Lights up and we're on Jeannie. She finally got the courage to call her mom. She's talking to her on the phone and she's trying so hard to explain to her her thoughts and what's going on. And her mom, not knowing how to respond, sings Let It Be.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be.
Unfortunately, this is not what Jeannie wants to hear. She did not want advice from Mother Mary. She wanted advice from her own mother, but she just can't provide that. Her mother ends the conversation and Crystal comes in, asks her how it went. She fills her in and tells her that she is really not sure how to feel. She doesn't know if she should be sad, if she should be relieved, or anything. And Crystal sings Sad Songs Say So Much, telling her that she has a right to be sad, and they kind of dance and she's comforting her and then they kiss. And then lights up and we're at the end of Act 1. In my outline I have this started with Jeannie, but I think I would like it better if Dan sang the first verse. We light up on Dan on one side of the stage. He's sitting in a chair by himself, just him. And he sings the first verse of Border Song, kind of mourning what could have been.
Holy Moses, I have been removed. I have seen the specter, he has been here too. Distant cousin from down the line, brand of people who ain't my kind.
And then he is joined by Jeannie, who sings the next couple verses.
Holy Moses, I have been deceived. Now the wind has changed direction and I have to leave. Won't you please excuse my frankness, but it's not my cup of tea. Holy Moses, I have been deceived. I'm going back to the borders where my affairs ain't abused. I can't take any more bad water or poison from my head down to my shoes. Oh.
And she is realizing for real this time that everything she has believed up until now hasn't been real. And she hasn't really felt anything real until what just happened with Crystal. And then lights up on Judah. He's there too. And during the instrumental break, they all kind of have a little freak out. After the freak out, Judah starts singing. He sings the last verse. And they all end singing together. And then lights down, intermission. Time to go get snacks and raffle tickets. Beginning of Act 2, the lights come up and the narrator welcomes the audience back to the show. He fills them in